Hi everyone, Cherene here from Zenergy One Health, Fitness and Wellness in Salamander Bay. Good evening and thank you very much for joining me this evening. And a particular shout out to Saffron and the team at What's On in Our Backyard for making all of this possible. So, just to get started, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My husband and I are the owners of Zenergy One Health and Fitness, as I said, and some of the things that I do is, aside from working in the store, I also teach aerial yoga and bar classes at our studio located up there at Salamander. And I'm also a holistic health, wellness and stress management consultant. Since my early 20s, I've been really into learning as much as I possibly can about health, fitness, nutrition, wellness, and anything to do with personal development. I've acquired a wealth of knowledge, a vast collection of tools and strategies to help in all sorts of different kinds of situations. And now that puts me in a position where I'm able to help other people, such as yourselves, men and women, to live healthier and less stressed lives. So this evening I wanted to share a little bit of my personal story with you, because I think you might find that you see just a little bit of yourself in there as well. For the last 12 years, I've been running my own ladies' fitness and dance studios. Started off on the Central Coast with my daughter. We started off in our lounge room, as a matter of fact. And at that stage, we were only the third pole dance school in Australia. We took it right around Australia over the next 6 or 7 years. We integrated aerial yoga into our classes, and we wanted to take everything away from that sort of old school, stripper mentality and make it a lot more mainstream, make it, sort of more accessible to women of, all ages and sizes and from all walks of life. Needless to say, it went off in a big way with a really big bang. And over the last 12 years, I've taught thousands and thousands of women, how to pole dance, do aerial yoga, and just, get fit and feel great in their own skin. Not only through our classes, but also through our weight loss and nutrition programs as well. It was a really wild ride, trust me. It was lots of fun, and I found teaching these ladies just so rewarding. It just blew me away. And like any other business, there were stressful times as well. So, and it ultimately took a toll on me. By about 2010, I'd kind of reached the ugly realisation that I'd actually put on a little bit of weight. Due to an injury, I had been put out of being able to teach for quite some time. I had a wrist injury and couldn't do very much. So by 2011, I had managed to pack on about 22 kilos. And trust me, I know 22 kilos, doesn't necessarily sound like a great deal to some people, but when you're 5 foot nothing like myself, 22 kilos shows, and in all the wrong places, rest assured. The biggest problem for me was that being a pole dance instructor, I was supposed to look, like fit and healthy, and instead I actually looked about 20 years older. I felt like crap. I looked like one of the Oompa Loompas out of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, for heaven's sakes. I had no energy whatsoever. I was stressed to the eyeballs, and I couldn't sleep. I was waking up at all odd hours of the night, and the brain was just, whirring over. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. And at the end of it, I was slipping into a really, really deep depression. I went to numerous doctors trying to find out, like what I could do, how I could, lose this weight and how I could get my energy levels back. And all I got was, love, just go home, take a good multivitamin and you'll be right. And I was like, really? Really? What that? Like, no, there's got to be more to it than that. So since they weren't prepared to offer any solutions or assistance, I figured the only thing that I really could do was to go and find answers for myself. And that's exactly what I did. I remembered reading somewhere about something called cortisol. I read it in, some magazine or other. And I remembered it saying that if you have a cortisol problem, that it can make you feel like crap and have no energy, and that you can put on weight. So I thought, well, okay, let's start there. That's not a bad place to start. So that's what I did. And what I found out is that I ticked most of the boxes. So I was kind of a prime candidate for it. So with that, I marched myself off to a naturopath. I hoped that a naturopath might be able to help to shine some light on something for me. And that was a life-changing visit. she agreed that yes, that was very likely what it was, and together we put together a plan. I already knew what I needed to do, so we set about doing that, and within a matter of weeks, 10 kilos had fallen off me, and I was feeling like a whole different person. I still wasn't back to the weight that I really wanted to be, but I got to 10 kilos was a hell of a lot. So yes, I do know what stress and hormones can do to affect our weight and our health in a really big way. Not only our physical health, but also our mental health. And over the years since then, I have developed a few little tricks to sort some of those things out. So that's what I wanted to talk with you people about tonight was, what it's all about and how we can actually work to solve this problem. The plain fact of the matter is that most of us are going to experience stress at some point in our lives. It can range from feeling minimal to, well, let's just say really significant. In this crazy fast-paced world that we live in now, where we're constantly connected 24/7, it's really hard to get away from anything. And of course, there's always just like general overwhelm. There's work issues, relationship, financial issues, like all those things. Caring for a sick child, or the death of a loved one. These can all trigger a really severe stress response. And of course, we all deal with stress in very, very different ways. Like you often see people that just seem to sail through it and are virtually untouched. And then you see other people that just totally go to ground and just melt down. And that's the beautiful thing about all of us as humans, is that we do all respond very, very differently. Probably one of the worst ones that we get to see is the people that just internalize it. On the surface, they try and act like everything's great and like the world is beautiful and all that sort of thing, but deep down they are really, really suffering, and they're the ones that we really have to watch out for. They don't show it, they don't share it with others, they just try and deal with it themselves, internally. And it really is one of the most insidious forms of stress that we see whether the stress is physiological, physically, or whether it's psychologically, mentally, or emotionally. They all have a physical impact on our bodies, and in a multitude of ways. Not just physically, but as I said before, emotionally as well. At that point in my life, I'd been through a really messy and lengthy divorce and custody battle. I was, growing a new business and running this business, which had taken off, like crazy. And I also lost my mother, my brother, and my mother-in-law all within 6 weeks of each other. And that was kind of the catalyst, I think, for me. Finally, the body just went, well, time out, enough is enough. And that's when I became really sick, really depressed, anxious, and just fat. And I was not a happy girl. Our bodies and the responses that we have evolved over millions of years, going right back to caveman days and dinosaur days. We've had to protect ourselves in life and death circumstances, and we've had to learn how to survive in all of these different circumstances. Back in like the caveman days, if you were being chased by a T-Rex, you went into panic mode, and all of a sudden your adrenal glands would kick into gear and fire up and create that fight or flight response. Today, even though we've evolved by millions of years, one thing that hasn't changed is that fight or flight response, is that stress response that we all experience. And any increased stress levels, our body just responds and just goes fight or flight. So how does all of this work? It all starts with our adrenal glands, and these little guys live just above our kidneys, and they are really, really vital to our health and well-being. They're not something that we can live without. We have 2 of them, and they play a really important role in producing the hormones that we need, particularly during times of stress. They produce hormones like cortisol that I've already touched on. They also produce adrenaline, dopamine, and also some of the various sex hormones as well. We don't have time to talk about all of these, but the one I do want to talk to you about tonight is cortisol, because that is the one that I see almost daily. Any imbalance in any of these can be a major contributor and create really far-reaching health issues. including things like significant changes in body weight, a rounded and puffy face, or maybe excessive fat around the neck, a risk of high blood pressure or even really low blood pressure, increased risk of cardiovascular disease and stroke, craving certain food types. Some of you might kind of relate to that one a little bit. Lack of energy, excessive tiredness and fatigue, compromised blood sugar levels, skin disorders, diminished sex drive, insomnia, sleep problems, mood changes and swings, anxiety, depression, brain fog, and just being able to recall simple things like, where did I leave my mobile phone? And of course the big one, accelerated aging as well. I remember back then with me, I aged by at least 20 years. I can show you photos of me before and after, and you will not even recognise me. It just does not look anything like me. Our adrenal glands govern our stress response by secreting these hormones, and they're relative to our stress levels in any given moment, as well as helping our body control, hormonal cycles and functions within our body. The problem is, if we live in a perpetual state of stress, the adrenal glands just become overworked and unable to cope, and they just shut down. And this is what we call adrenal fatigue. And adrenal fatigue in this day and age, in our modern world, is absolutely rife. Cortisol, as I said, is just one of the hormones that's secreted by the adrenals throughout the day. And our cortisol level is normally higher in the morning and then gradually diminishes during the day so that we can actually get to sleep at night. But cortisol also regulates other functions in the body as well, such as the body's use of proteins, carbohydrates and fats, the release of energy from fat cells to be used in muscles, all sorts of things. And these ensure that both the brain and the body have the energy to get through the day. It has all of the resources that it needs. Cortisol, when it's too low, becomes a really big problem. Cortisol also works with our thyroid and helps make our thyroid work more efficiently. So if it's too low, the body becomes less efficient at creating its own energy and metabolic activity. And if it's too high, it can even create thyroid resistance. As I said, cortisol also affects our metabolism, or metabolic activity. So, and this not only converts food into fuel, but also affects how efficiently our body can burn it. So, and how quickly we can lose or gain weight. Metabolism also has an impact on other factors as well, such as our age. And of course, I think most of us know that, as we get a little bit older, things kind of slow down a little bit. Well, our metabolism slows down by about 5% per decade from the age of 40, if that makes you feel any better. Our sex also determines what our metabolism is like, and quite often men burn more calories at rest than what women do. And it also affects our lean body mass, and the more muscle that you have, the higher your metabolic rate tends to be, and therefore the more fat that you can actually burn. Stress is the common denominator in all of these things, in cortisol levels, whether they be too high or too low, in adrenal fatigue or adrenal shutdown. So when you're living with ongoing stress all the time, it really does affect the adrenal glands, and they finally just fail or collapse, resulting in adrenal fatigue, and this sometimes leads to a thyroid deficiency as well. One of the things that I found with me is that I have for many, many years had doctors say to me, maybe we should get your thyroid tested. And I've had my thyroid tested about 4 times, and every single time it comes back negative. And that was simply because my cortisol level was, really, really out of whack, and that was affecting the way that my thyroid was presenting itself. So in this day and age, even though we don't have too many T-Rexes running around the streets and chasing us, the modern day stresses, which tend to be more mental than physical, although there is a lot of physical stress as well, but it's more constant, and that's something that we have to be really conscious of. Many of us deal with chronic stress almost as a way of life, and it means that we consistently have an elevated or a low level of cortisol, and it just brings on so many other health issues. The connection between stress and our hormones is a really complex one, and it's one that we can talk about for hours and hours and hours. But tonight I just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of what it's all about, and it probably raises the question, what can we do about it? How can we stop this from happening? How can we get our weight back to normal? How can we get our energy levels back to normal and maintain optimal adrenal health? Well, it isn't rocket science, actually. It really isn't that hard. Unfortunately, it's not a magic pill that you can take, like go home, like take this course of tablets for a week and you'll be fine. But it is still fairly simple. And it really comes down to a couple of things. What, when, and how you eat really does matter. It probably sounds a little bit odd, but if you want your body to believe that the next ice age hasn't hit, and you don't want it to think that it's starving to death, then you need to feed it. Like, that's just all there is to it. You need to eat food at regular intervals throughout the day, and you need to give your body what it needs. Cortisol helps to regulate our blood sugar levels as well, and keeping those glucose levels balanced will take some of the stress off your adrenal glands. So 3 nutritious meals a day and 2 healthy snacks will certainly help to balance things out for you and keep your cortisol under control. I know it's really, really easy just to like reach for the lolly jar or like that cup of caffeine or the Red Bull, to get that quick energy spike, but really all you're doing is making it backfire on you. With these energy spikes, it just actually drops our blood sugar levels, and it happens really, really rapidly. So really reaching for nutrient-rich foods, things like lean protein, avocado, fresh fruits and vegetables, they're going to work for you so much better, and you're going to find that your energy levels really do increase. You can also supplement your diet with a number of different sports nutrition and herbal supplements as well, that will support not just your adrenal health but your overall health. Things like additional protein in your diet, a quality multivitamin, sure. Additional protein is going to help to support muscle growth and also recovery, and also fat burners can also help to really incinerate that excess fat so that you can get your weight down again. There's also another one that is really beneficial, and it's called ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is an ancient Ayurvedic herb, so it's been around for thousands and thousands of years, and it's been used since really ancient times for a variety of different conditions. Modern day medical researchers have actually picked up on this, and they've completed more than 200 studies now on the benefits of ashwagandha. And the thing that they find is that it does help to eliminate stress. It eliminates fatigue, lack of energy, and difficulty in sleeping. It also helps with, that mind fog thing, so it helps you have, better concentration levels. And it can also improve sex drive as well. It offers anti-inflammatory benefits, a whole range of things. It really is, a wonder herb. So, keep that one in mind. Jot it down on your notepad now, ashwagandha. Another strategy that you can use to control your cortisol levels and your adrenals is to address the stress. And I know it's really easy to say, like, how do you deal with stress? Like, how do you stop it? You can't turn it off. So, but there are ways to actually manage your stress. And I've got a couple of cool tips for you tonight on ways that you can do that. One of the biggest issues we have in modern day world is this constantly being connected 24/7. Like we're connected to our phones, to our emails, to social media, even to television. And our adrenal glands notice all of this. Like you're constantly, like wired, you're constantly connected. So instead of being tired and wired and overeating, consider slowing down and restoring some balance, not just to your adrenals and your cortisol levels, but also to your life in general. Try disconnecting just for 1 hour a day. Just turn everything off, switch the phone off, put it in another room, whatever. Stop checking your emails, stay off social media, give yourself 1 hour of unplugged time and reconnect with yourself, your family, your friends, and just have a little bit of downtime. You will find that will really help to bring that stress level down quite a bit. The next one is exercise. Of course, we all know that exercise is good for you, but exercise actually helps to produce another hormone called endorphins. So endorphins can make you feel happy, like they are the happy hormone. So Yeah, you know, like a little bit of exercise is great. When we're exhausted and our adrenals are already working hard though, too much exercise, too hard a workout can actually be detrimental. So I would probably suggest not working out really hard later in the day, as in, you know, like in the evening. I would try and keep those, you know, harder workouts for earlier in the day if you're trying to bring your cortisol back down, and try and do something a little bit more soothing in the evening, you know, like perhaps yoga or, you know, something like that. Even just a walk, you know, like go for a walk, get out in the fresh air. You know, it'll make your adrenals happy and it'll also make your mind really happy as well. Sleep. You need your 7 to 8 hours of sleep, straight up and down. Many of my clients that I see, you know, complain that, you know, like they're tired all day, they need a pre-workout supplement to drag their butt into the gym, but then they have trouble sleeping at night, or they can get to sleep at night, but then they wake up in the middle of the night and they're awake. So one of the things with cortisol is that it can create this effect. What happens is your circadian rhythms get all out of whack, and the only way to, you know, correct this is to really get into a good sleep pattern. So I would try and be in bed by about, you know, 10 o'clock at night. Shut down your phone, shut down the television at least half an hour to an hour before going to bed, and really try and get that, you know, quality 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Your body needs it so that, you know, your body physically can, you know, rest, recover and regulate, you know, normal hormonal cycles. But also too, your mind needs it as well. You know, it's time for it just to really shut down. Another little saying of mine is meditate, don't medicate. If you're having trouble sleeping, or you're suffering from insomnia where, you know, like you're waking up in the middle of the night and you can't get back to sleep, try meditation before reaching for that medication bottle. It really does work. It's already scientifically proven that a regular meditation practice reduces stress. It alters the brainwave patterns as well, so that you do get a much more deeper, more restful sleep. And it can also help to reduce depression and blood pressure. I've used meditation myself very, very successfully in some very, very stressful times. So don't take my word for it, try it yourself. I've got one client who's been, you know, meditating now for just over a week. She went from being unable to get more than about an hour's sleep a night to actually getting a full night's sleep. So, like, it really does work. Give it a try. And another one, you're going to like this, is don't forget to have fun. Laughing and enjoying your time is a really, really important way to relax. We all need to make sure that having fun becomes a priority in our lives. The mental and the physical benefits are both absolutely amazing. You will not regret it. Okay, people, that's about it from me. But before we go, let's start a conversation. Are there any questions from any of you about anything that I've spoken here tonight? You can pop your questions into the comments below there, and we'll get to as many of them as we possibly can. But just to kick off, I have received a couple of questions earlier today by email, so let me just address some of those while you guys are getting your thinking caps on and getting your fingers typing. So one question I had was from a lady by the name of Amy, and she's asking, how do you know if you have a cortisol imbalance? Is there a test or something that, you know, you can have to find out for sure? And that's a really, really good question, Amy, and thanks so much for asking it. From my experience, not all doctors do test for cortisol. Finding out, you know, if you have a cortisol, you know, imbalance is a little bit like finding out if you have adrenal fatigue. Quite often it's identified more from a set of symptoms than necessarily a test, but more recently there are more doctors now that are testing for cortisol, but you can also go to a naturopath as well and ask for a cortisol test. So yeah, check out with your doctor, and if no luck there, then yeah, go and hit up a naturopath and find out what you can. Another question that I've had here is from Melissa. Hi Melissa, how are you? Melissa says, I never have any energy. I'm tired all day, but at night I have trouble getting to sleep. And I know I've put on a bit of weight. Could it be because I have a hormone imbalance? I've been really stressed the last few months. Yeah, quite possibly it could be, Melissa. You know, like maybe it's worth your while going and having, you know, one of those tests. But the good news is that regardless of whether you do or not, you can actually ease a lot of the symptoms that you're describing here simply by what I said before: eating well, exercising, using some great stress busting techniques, and do some meditation that'll help you sleep better as well. All of these things are going to help to reduce your stress levels, and that's a good thing to start with. If you do have a cortisol imbalance, then that's going to automatically start to come down as well once you start to eliminate some of that stress. Not just, like the emotional stress, but also the physical stress that, is going on to your body as well. Like I said earlier, there is no magic pill to correct adrenal fatigue and, the related hormone imbalances, but adopting a healthy and active lifestyle and, addressing the stressing is, really your three key components to this. As I said, like whether you have a cortisol imbalance or not, everybody can benefit from those things. I hope that helps. And I've got one other question here from Liz. Liz says that she thinks she has a pretty good diet and she goes to the gym, but still doesn't have enough energy and generally doesn't feel great. Do I have any suggestions? Oh yeah, I have suggestions for you, Liz, and that is an awesome question. You have no idea how many people I see every single week who are saying the same thing. They believe they have a good healthy diet, and they honestly believe that they do. What I find quite often though is that people lack a little bit of general understanding about what a healthy diet actually is. And one of the things I like to do with my clients is to try and put a different perspective on it, and that seems to sort a few of these things out. So let's do that. Let's take this, different take on eating healthy for just a minute. The way I see it, our bodies are not dissimilar to our car. More to the point, our bodies are actually really similar to a really high-tech, high-performance car. Think Ferrari, Lamborghini, Formula One cars, stuff like that. If I gave you one of these cars, no, I'm not going to, but if I did, and you popped it into the petrol station to fill up the tank so you could go off zooming around for the day, and you were to put some cheap E10 fuel in the tank, how far do you think you'd go? How do you reckon that would play out for you? Let me tell you what would probably happen. A high performance vehicle like that with cheap nasty fuel in it probably isn't going to go very far. It'll get you around for a little while. It's probably going to cough and splutter a little bit. It's not going to be feeling real happy. Certainly isn't going to have the get up and go that one would expect from a Ferrari or a Lambo. And eventually it's probably just going to conk out on the side of the road because everything's all clogged up and it just goes, I'm gone, and just die on the side of the road. You're going to end up having to get it towed to a mechanic. It's going to cost you a heap of money to get it fixed, to get it all flushed out and cleaned up and all that sort of thing. Are you kind of getting where I'm coming from here? Our bodies are not a whole lot different. If we put cheap low-grade fuel into our bodies, into our personal fuel tank, it'll get us around for a little while, but it won't take very long for it to start to seize up, for it to start to cough and splutter and have trouble taking off in the morning, and eventually it's probably going to conk out somewhere. So why do we do this to ourselves? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why don't we just put the premium grade fuel into our bodies that they need? If we did this in the first place, we wouldn't have half of the problems that we have today. The trick is understanding the difference between low-grade foods and high-grade foods. And that's something that we actually cover in our 56-day reboot program. It's not a rocket science kind of program. It's not just, like your normal, 12-week, weight loss program. It's very, very different to that. I'm all about education. I'm all about, sharing that knowledge with people so that you can make your own smart and healthy choices way beyond the 8 weeks of the program. Let me tell you a little bit about the program, actually. With the reboot program, you actually get a 60-plus page booklet, which has got all of the basic facts about healthy nutrition, fitness, supplements, and stuff like that. We give you a 7-day detox and a meal plan, and a detox, is a really great way to start. It often just, flushes out all of the crap out of your body and gives you a really, really great head start. Then you get a 7-day meal plan for week 2, which has got like all of your meals laid out in it, all of your recipes, and it is real food, like really, really, really yummy food. And it's designed in a way that even the rest of the family are going to love it. Yeah, the kids, husband, wife, whatever, like you can all enjoy the same thing. So there's no extra meal prepping involved, because I mean, who has the time to spend their entire life in the kitchen, for heaven's sakes? I don't. We're also going to give you some tips on getting moving and grooving and to find your fitness. I understand that everybody has different likes and dislikes, so, and there's so many different ways that you can get active and get fit in this day and age. So, you know, we're all about, you know, like finding your fitness. And you also have full support from us for the 8 weeks. You have email access to us. You can pop into the store anytime and we can answer your questions, and you're going to actually learn a great deal. Your energy levels are going to go through the roof, and if you were any fitter, you'd be dangerous, trust me. So that's just about it from me for tonight. If you do have any questions about anything, don't forget to dive into the shop, shoot us an email, give us a call, whatever, we're there. We're in the complex over there near McDonald's up at Salamander Bay, so drop in anytime. If you want to know more about your stress and hormones, I'm happy to answer questions for you. Just remember that this video is going to remain up on the page as well, so you can always come back to it if there's anything that you missed, and you can re-watch it. I'm also going to be sharing it over onto the Zenergy One Health, Fitness and Wellness Facebook page, and I will pop some links in below for you as well, so that you can, you know, find your way around, find your way to our website and all that sort of stuff. So as I said, you know, if you have any questions at all about any of our products, our programs, our coaching services, please don't hesitate. We'd love to hear from you soon. Thanks for joining me this evening. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you another time. Bye-bye.